Okay, so the local legislation and STR permit restrictions conversation is a hot topic and has become even hotter over the last couple of years as more and more cities and municipalities have cracked down on short term rental permits and regulations. So, this is a big concern. And first and foremost, as you're working with the Cushman Holmes team, you can bet that we will already be intimately familiar with the county and the city that your property resides in. And we will likely have called that municipality within the last days or weeks and have a pretty good sense for what the orientation is and what the rules and restrictions are. And we'll generally try to avoid sending you any properties as it relates to the properties that we kind of handpick and send to you. And we'll and that, and then also as you send us properties that come up, that'll be the first thing we'll try to figure out and confirm is, are you running into any legislation issues on the city municipality side of things? So for example, if you're looking at the North Georgia market, you're going to be, if you're within the city limits of LJ, you're not going to be able to STR. If you're within the city limits of Blue Ridge, you can't STR. A lot of addresses in Helen need a permit, and you have to go through a process that takes quite a bit of time and can be somewhat prohibitive. And then at the time of this recording, December of 2022, and for the last few months, Union County, which contains Blairsville addresses, is currently in a pause of giving any new permits out. So there's a moratorium in Blairsville and Union County. So just off the top of my head, I kind of know the spots, right, where we need to steer clear from. And then on the flip side, I know the counties where the vibe is super friendly and very open, and you're almost more inclined to go to those areas because you know that they are so excited about short-term rentals and collaborative with short-term rental owners. So Lumpkin County is a good example. Fannin County is generally pretty good as well. And these are counties that have long history. So as you're looking at the local legislation and the county or city that you're purchasing in, you want to look at the current short-term rental permit process. You want to look at the taxes. You want to look at what sort of renewal costs you're dealing with and any rules and requirements that you're going to have to comply with in order to maintain your permit. And you also want to look at the history and future kind of orientation of that area. If there's a lot of pushback from the community or the city council, if you go into most of the time, you should be able to find the minutes or the agendas of the commissioner meetings, the board, the city board council meetings, and it might be worth looking at the notes, looking at the agendas from those meetings and seeing if there have been any conversations about short-term rentals in recent months or in upcoming meetings. Now, to some degree, this is all at the end of the day going to fall on you. It's a buyer beware state in Georgia, for example. And what that means is at the end of the day, the responsibility is on you to know what sort of city you're buying into, and it's the risk you're taking that things could potentially change down the road. So you're going to take on more risk if you go buy in Atlanta, where, and maybe you go and you buy just outside of the city limits, but you're taking more risk by maybe being closer to those Atlanta city limits, where you know other cities nearby might adopt the Atlanta policies, and so you're ultimately responsible for that risk you take. And and whenever I get the process started with submitting an offer or going under contract with a buyer, despite what I already may know about that local municipality, I'm still going to expect and encourage you to call directly so that you understand exactly what sort of situation you're walking into from a legislation side of your investment. So just remember, it's always on you at the end of the day to make sure that your numbers work, and that you're not buying in a place where the legislation is going to give you issues. But hopefully, and in this case, your agent team, me and my team, we are going to partner with you to try and cut down on the time you spend on that and connect you to the resources, put the information in front of you that we have, and then also encourage you to do your due diligence, which I think is the best way for a partnership to run, agent and client, right? So we want to handhold and make that job as easy as possible for you, but you are still the investor and you got to own that. So sorry for getting a little soapboxy there, but that's the process for avoiding legislation issues and permit restrictions in the place that you invest. And when you work with an agent that's doing this all the time, they should be able to quickly kind of point you in the right direction and help save you time as you're evaluating addresses. And that's certainly what we will do as we're looking at properties together.